is Richard Ceasar, who's also on his journey to recovery from getting a stroke. And one of the things I want to highlight is one of the reasons why I'm doing these podcasts or these interviews is so that people who have had a stroke and don't understand what is happening to them or don't have that support uh, can watch these and take courage and take heart in knowing that, you know what, I'm going to be all right and it's not over. And so the theme of these podcasts is it's not over because you reach a point where you're in the hospital and you're deciding what is next, especially if you have that a active lifestyle. What do I do now? And simply put, it's not over. So, good evening, Mr. Richard Caesar.
Good afternoon, sir.
How are you?
Good afternoon, sir. Well, the best I could be at the
Tell me a
moment.
little bit about yourself.
Well, I am age 55 at the moment. um, yeah, I I was an active prisoner officer in the IT department for a number of years, and I was living a more or less very active life, doing everything that I could have done up and down, helping this one, helping that one, doing what I need to do. Um, Being an active person, this whole episode took me by real surprise, and I had to say that that was a truly waking up experience. I was always told to slow down, but I did not. So I'm more or less pay price for that.
And can you share about that
And
experience though on the day itself? What's happening leading up to that?
well, well, let me start the day before, as a matter of fact. The day before, I had a very early morning at work. And when I finished at 4:30, I was summoned to go to another location, one place next. Yeah, I mean, if you want to say, I can say it, but yeah, one place next. And that took me until from that time straight to about 9:30 the night. And what was the problem that was I wasn't eating.
Right.
And when I did eat, was like a pig just gobbling up wherever they and get yourself sleep, get to bed and get up next morning to go. So what happened the next morning I got up, I didn't eat the night. I drank some tea, I ate two eggs, and that was it. I went and sleep. Get up next morning and had to go back to the whole routine again. But when the time came for when it was 4 o'clock, I told one of the drivers that I wasn't feeling too hot, so I feel like going home. That way it was. Nothing major. And when I came off the vehicle and was on my way walking home and thing, I felt a little twinge in my shoulder, and I thought it was the bag because it was a big bag I was toting, and it was heavy. So it was. I thought it was that. Reach home normal. Eat something. I can't remember what I eat, and I told my wife at the time. I say, "See this? I feel like taking a rest." And I lay down, and it's because I lay down, I slept. Obviously, I slept because when I got up, it was night. When I get up now, trying to get off the bed, it was
Oh,
impossible. I couldn't speak, I couldn't see nothing. I tried to bang the wall and the door or something for it to hear me. Nobody was hearing me, and I was right outside. So I had to actually fight and roll off the bed. And when I hit the ground, is when they heard something, and then they they're flying and so we're gonna help me and thing. And well, everything went off from there. It went off from there. It was like from was happening real fast, but it happened real slow
yeah.
for me because like everything was moving fast, but it was my vision was like slow motion. It went from that. a phone call to a friend of mine. He came, he picked me up, carried me in the hospital. I couldn't even tell them at the time that I didn't want to. I was adamant not to go to the hospital. In particular, I wasn't
Hmm.
calling names, but I couldn't say nothing, so I just had to go with it. Reached the hospital, and the hospital treatment was terrible, to say the least. Right? It took me 3 days to recover from that. I had problems even going to the bathroom and from in the hospital because of my I don't want to say color so much, but because of what I looked like, I was a big strong fella. You're supposed to be able to move around and do your thing for yourself. That nobody really pay attention to me. So I had to fight and just to go to the bathroom, fight to go to the toilet, fight to do everything. And the doctors didn't treat me well. Sorry to say it that way. I didn't get good treatment. My experience
Yeah.
was terrible. Terrible. Right? To say thing. I spent 3 days before they even sent me for
Wow.
X-ray, ECG, anything. 3 days just sit down, they do lie down in the bed doing that. Well, and I am bed as a matter of fact. And the bed didn't even have a mattress.
Serious.
Yeah, serious.
Wow.
Yeah, that is a long story by itself. But yeah, bed didn't have a mattress. And when the nurses tried to accommodate me somehow, the doctors moved the accommodation and so that reserved for more serious patients. So I wasn't looking like I was a serious patient in terms of medically wanted some kind
Yeah.
of assistance. Yeah. So yeah, so I got over that. I came out of the hospital after 3 days and I was on the bed feeling sorry for myself. Really feeling sorry for myself. In fact, it even reached to the point where I just wanted to
Wow.
die, to be honest. I wanted to die. And as while on the bed, uh, I want to say a epiphany, but it was like something that's ringing in my ears and tell me, you know what? You're not accustomed to this bed thing, sit down and just rolling over and anything I'm there. Right? You have to do something about it. I was like, do what? I'm going to spend about 2 hours just contemplating what I could do. Right? And then I say, see that? I'm going to make a phone call. Right? And my phone call was to one of my batch. God rest his soul. Right? I could call the name.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Right. Was to Nanku. Right? Now before all of that, Miss De Graaf saw me in the hospital and she did liaise with Miss Johnson to have have them monitored while I here.
Yeah.
But it's only when I made the call to Nanku that he jump into action literally. And he literally took the prison vehicle that was doing clinic work for prisoners in Port of Spain prison and came to my home, picked me up off my bed, literally, put me in the van, right? My wife came with me. We he carried me back to Mount Hope. We shouldn't even call the hospital, but yeah, to the hospital. And he and another colleague insisted that I get treatment. And they made sure I got all the treatment that I was supposed to get all my
Hmm.
cards in order, right? To check over all my vitals, right? And it's from there I started to feel like I should do something, wanted to do something. I mean, I wasn't totally there because I was still
Yeah.
feeling depressed,
Yeah.
totally depressed. And they suggested that but so yeah, no nobody in the hood that do the massage therapy and thing and look and so well, I said, yeah, well, I know Chinese and them fellas there, but I ain't really know nobody
Yeah.
personally. And another phone call again. And these fellas responded.
Yeah.
Now, in my experience, I am more or less a loner when coming to work. I talk to everybody, but I have no real, how to say, let me put it that way, friend to say that I could confide
Right.
in. But what surprised me? is that when the call was made, a lot of people know of me and know me, and it's not because we are personal friends, but because of how I treated or deal with officers, fellow officers at the time. I would not turn down anybody that come to me for
Mm-hmm.
something.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You come to do so and so and so and so. Here what? I will see what I could do. Right? And I will do my best to get something done for somebody. And these fellas remember
Yeah.
all that. So when they heard my name called as having a problem, I couldn't leave home and thing. They came to my house with with their workbench, everything, and they dealt with me. Right? For weeks, they literally massaged my body back to life. And then they went with me to the savannah and walk with me. They even make a makeshift walking stick out of PVC
Yeah.
pipe. Right? But I tell them point blank, I say, if I start to use that, I go always have to use that.
Yes. Yes.
So, so I tell them, I said, all right, well, here we go. And they force me, they fight with me to walk around the place and thing. And, you know, so it took me at least 6 months before I could really walk on my
Yeah.
own. Before I could really walk on my own. I was walking here, but I was walking assisted. Right? Walk on my own. And then with that, I went to a, a chiropractor, as they suggested. And I got an adjustment. I never had an adjustment in my life. Your back
Yeah.
crack, whatever. And with that is the first ease I got of because my body feeling funny, but I didn't know what pain I was in. I saw because I'm not
Yeah.
ignoring pain. That I didn't know what pain I was in. So when I got the adjustment and I feel the difference, you're actually feeling the blood flowing through your body again. And I was like, yeah. So I said, well, where's the next step? Well, he told me that I had to come back for another adjustment in about a month time, continue doing the massage therapy. And these fellas stuck with me for how long? Almost a year to bring me back to life. Thought, no, God bless them fellas, yes? Yeah, so that is a revelation that I never expected because I know a lot of my colleagues, and you probably realize that too for your own experience that we have a lot of people who selfish.
Yeah.
No other word but selfish. So I didn't, and I know that. So you find out that it was kind of surprising to me to see anybody take me on at all. You know? And I got real
But I guess
support that way.
there still a good few
Yeah.
people, some good people. Are you calling the late Nanku? Um, I had in my corner my batch, Phoebe and Paul. You,
Mhm. Yeah, right. That was my batch.
you're
It's,
all two
yeah, yeah,
solid
yeah.
women, Miss D for Miss Johnson.
Yeah.
So there are good people.
Also, we although we in train at the same time. Now batch to be all of us came
Okay,
really work
okay,
together.
okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right. So not to say well, we unfamiliar with one another, but it was just that it was how things happen so far because when Nanku went to ask Miss Johnson for the vehicle, she
Yeah,
didn't hesitate. Yes, and the same
yeah,
one time. Now, I don't know if I could go back into that story with Miss Johnson, but um in 2018, yeah. 10 month vacation, I came back out. And they put me in charge of the IT department in Port of
right.
Spain, right? And when Miss Johnson saw me, she said, you just do that? I didn't know that, right? I said, what's what you could do? And when I did, I deconstructed the whole area and start back from
Right.
scratch. And when she saw all of that, she was like, yeah, we now get the right person. Right? And I more or less broke back the whole IT department at Port of Spain, make sure the phones working, computers working, whatever. And that was some long hours of work. And all that was the time that was building up because I was inhaling pigeon mess, rat mess,
Yeah, well, we know
dog,
the extent of the health
right.
issues that are paramount to
So I inhaling all of that. Mask or no mask, I inhaling all of that. Not taking care of myself properly because once a week I might
yeah,
exercise in the gym. I might exercise. Every day is from 6 in the morning to 6 in the night or 7 in the night whenever I finish. You know? So it was like from zero to everything. And bam, when COVID came around, when everybody was struggling for certain things in IT department, I was
Yeah,
there already because I knew we were going to that. Right. In fact, I was one of the first person to introduce Zoom meetings
yeah.
within the prison. Right, was myself and um oh God,
Yeah.
Lavelle.
But do you think the COVID really had something to do with the amount of people now who have been suffering or stroke are recovering from stroke? The stress level?
No, no, I don't. What happened is that a lot of us, right, especially within our service, a lot of us was like me. And I got to realize that after
Yes.
work, 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 get the work done, get this done, get that done, get the other done. And put
To
yourself second
last.
to
Yeah,
last sometime.
yeah,
Because when you're done with work, you gotta go man deal with your
yeah,
family, children, wife, whoever, right? And you deal with them, right? You get as much rest as you could get and then come up, get up next morning and go all over again. So what happens, a lot of my colleagues, I mean, you probably went through it yourself. You know, you put everything first before
yeah.
you. And when the time came now that your body really couldn't take
Yeah.
it no more,
Shut
it,
down.
it shut down on you. It shut down on you. Yeah. So that was the whole scenario. The long and short of it,
Now I know,
right? And take care of yourself, your body shut
I
down.
know this process is a challenging process. But what were
Hmm.
some of your biggest challenges you face on your recovery journey?
Mental, mental health. Because I tell you, although I was feeling the progress, I was like, oh Lord, but how long is it
Yeah,
going to take? You know? And I keep asking God to give me some patience because I was impatient. I will just say we are accustomed going at a
yeah,
certain pace. Or say 150. Yeah. So if I know the slow ride down, the biggest challenge was the mental challenge because you're feeling you're fighting depression, you're fighting feeling, you know, you actually feel like nobody or nothing else even was I think I have a philosopher who put it the right way. When you're healthy, you have 99 problems, right? And when you're sick, you only
yeah,
have one problem.
yeah,
You understand it? Right. When you're sick, you only have one problem. So it's like, okay. And those kind of thing, quotes and thing, and, you know, that brought me back to some level of sanity. I never went to a psychologist or
mhm,
nothing for that. I am. So I thought, being a tech person, I thought most of my psychological, how should I say, help through
yeah.
the internet. Right? It had a lot of examples on the line that I could source and hear the stories and relate to see what relates to you and see how they dealt with it and see what they could do similar, if not the
And
same
that's
thing.
why I said at the
Ah.
beginning of this podcast really is this is really to help
Mm-hmm.
people because just like you, I had to go to the
Mm-hmm.
internet to get motivational help,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
exercises
Yeah.
for people who have had a stroke. I had to depend on the internet because the hospital only giving you this amount of therapy and then you'll get one every month, and which don't make sense.
And if the therapist there and all too, because you go there and if the therapist never there, or whoever supposed to do this or that not there, or they come to work, or they're feeling good, or they don't have too much people to see about, and all kind of things. So it was more or less just to go to the therapy in the hospital to get a book signed.
Well, yeah.
That's about it. To get a book
I know
signed.
this sort of
And
impact
then
your daily life, both physically and
yeah,
emotionally,
yeah,
as you spoke about the whole
yeah,
mental aspect, getting your mental right.
yeah,
How, how do you deal with
right, yeah.
the cement though on the affected side? And why cement
I
is
mean,
because the affected side is be real heavy. And some days you
yeah.
just feel like if it's two bag of cement on your foot and two bag on your
Oh, okay, okay, I understand it too.
shoulder.
Yeah, yeah, I understand it. I understand it. Yeah, it's still not where I wanted to be. I mean, they told me that I just say thank God because they say on my right side if I get to my left side would be a different story. But okay, for example, I just told you my ankles, my right ankle starting to feel the effect of that cement
Mhm.
because well, at time was my hip and the hip got took a while to readjust and get back to some semblance of normalcy. And when that happened, now the ankle that was taking a beating all the time to
Yeah,
carry me around start to feel the effects. So now I need to see how I could do that. And then, well, I think the biggest thing is the nerve damage that you suffer because of it, right? Because that is what it is. What the stroke is about nerve damage, and you get the nerve damage, and it's to get back the nerve to respond as before. As we were saying, basketball, your lateral movement, not
yeah,
there again. So either you weigh your mind on that all the time, or you decide, well, here what? This is what I have. Let me see how I could work with it as best, right? And I think mostly with men especially, we worry about ego. You want to walk down the road and you're bumping left to right and everybody see you normal and you're looking
yeah,
strong and healthy. And you worry about what other people will say about you. I think that is one
yeah,
of the biggest things you gotta overcome, right? Your ego. I think that's a problem with a lot of us, especially men. We ego does be a mental block. So it took me a while to let go that ego and learn. Well, I used to do it before, but I do it more now. Laugh at yourself.
yeah.
Laugh and laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah? You're walking down the road and you see the cement bag pulling behind you, and you're like, hey, watch you. Can't even walk for 2 steps and you're freaking blowing like a theater
Yeah,
fan. Watch you.
yeah,
You're just
yeah,
laughing at yourself. So, so with that now, you learn to let go of
yeah.
certain things, right? And then let me come to the other side now where I am always a strong Catholic, right? I custom going to church every Sunday. A little bit hard with this sort of noise in church, but yeah. So I decided I had to go back into my religion a little more to help with the same mental issue. But I decided to change my venue and thank God I'm close enough to do it. I, to change my venue from the normal church on the main road to on the
Okay.
mount. So I decided every Saturday morning I'll go on the mount and take any service, take a little half an hour, do a little mental, Just woosah, they say, right? Light a candle, say a little prayer, and then from that I could just go on to my Saturday activities in
But how
particular.
has that impacted
And
your journey? That God perspective.
well, we just celebrated Easter, and we so guess so accustomed to saying Easter is about rabbit and Easter
Hmm.
egg that we just
Yeah,
forget that the man above sent his son down here. And that man, when you ever watch the movie The
yeah,
Passion of the Christ, you see the kind of thing that man go through. You think it will go through half of that? They beat you for 2 days straight, all your flesh is falling out. Just think about somebody doing that for your benefit.
and it's beautiful.
You understand? Yeah, you understand?
Yeah,
Yeah. And that's being grateful for
yeah,
that alone. Yeah, that's telling well, hey, what you going through? You ain't going through not one ass. Try to be Christian. that ain't that hard. What you going through is normal human behavior and things that you might have contribute to from the way I
yes,
was living.
that's
So
correct.
yeah,
Yeah,
so yeah, okay, get up and get right. Just imagine yourself getting that kind of punishment for just saying being a person that stand for yourself.
but
Me saying you had to be a Jesus man or
yeah,
that. If you stand for yourself and you get that kind of punishment, you think you will do that for other people to
and
benefit. You had to be
even knowing that they still go and be ungrateful, you gonna do that?
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So that whole thought of this person doing that for my benefit made me realize that I complain about this little stroke or whatever. I mean, it's a little, but you know, I complain about that. That's
In comparison.
a drop of water compared to other people,
Yeah.
what he went through. So, you know, that helped you to realize, well, hey, mm-mm, fight. You gotta fight.
And in
You gotta fight.
fighting, what treatments that you or therapies you did help you the most?
The most, well, I'll say the chiropractor at this point at the time, right? Because I mean, I ain't not saying nothing about to be ungrateful to the officers uh, on because they are not try to do some how should I say chiropractic on me too because one officer in particular, I find my colleague name Brown knows nothing about chiropractic and he massaged my ankles especially rub to the gate to pop. Right? And that was when I started to feel the flow of blood. And then the other officer literally use a particular tool and got into to my flesh under my foot to force the circulation to start. And you know that thing and I said, boy, you need to get more professional chiropractic help. Right? And is that what I got addicted a while to it? Because the chiropractor will tell me, I'll come back next month now. Next 2 weeks I buy him. Because I feel like I shouldn't even feel nothing better. And you know, that and I have a neighbor who well she's getting old, so she was looking for somebody to go around with her to exercise and thing. And we took the opportunity and went to Savannah. So while she doing her exercise, I did my routine and thing. And that will get me through, right? Having some kind of support one way or the next, right? Be it my wife at the time, be it non cool, be it the fellas in therapy, be it the chiropractors, that support, right? I mean, yes, they were being paid or they were doing a job, but it was just, you know, being good people. But if there was not wrong, and you had to fight this fight by yourself, that would have be a real, real uphill
Would,
battle. Because after the mental part of it, you could just lie on the bed and then just disintegrate. Disintegrate.
were there
Yeah.
any
Um,
unexpected hurdles in your rehabilitation process?
yeah. Medication. I have a well, I still do, but I can't more or less recover from it. I have a serious problem with taking tablets. I think that's a
Right.
man thing, but yeah. I, you could give me the smallest tablet. My mother is to pull out that leather belt for me to, to take a tablet. And I had to take about 6 or 7 tablets. You understand? Every day, morning and evening. And like, wait, sir, how am I taking this thing? I can't even take one. And if you see the size of some of them tablets. So yeah, that's that alone was a hurdle for me. And I fight and I give it. Now it's like, oh shit, I'm a tablet to take. I'm gonna take it. And it's like I can actually put the 4 tablets I'm taking
Yeah.
right now in my mouth and say, hey, you're good at it. Yeah. Like if I had to go and
Yeah.
do something, yeah, you know, throw water and it could become normal now. And I wonder to myself if I'm doing myself an injustice because you know you always hear these side effects of tablets with your kidneys and whatever. So yeah, you have to make sure to remember to drink your water
I
and all
think
kind
one of
of
the things is that we don't want this to happen to us again. And they think
no.
that
Yeah.
having a second stroke,
Yeah.
if could
Yeah.
be very a serious thing, or if you don't take care of yourself. And so
Um
the tablets and thing you're taking is probably because you don't want this happen to you again, so you just take whatever you take.
well one. One. Two, the lifestyle adjustment for a lot of people that'd be hard.
Mhm.
Right? I think that is the biggest hurdle most people don't have, the lifestyle adjustment. Okay. I am Bosun. I grew up a country boy. So you find like eating certain foods
Yeah.
and thing was never a problem for me. When I show people pictures on what I was eating and thing, they see Riley and pumpkin and like, I say, yeah, because since I small, I eating all them kind of things, so there's nothing now, you know. Right? And then well, I say I'm boasting, I'm a capable cook for myself. So if I not prepare your
Yeah.
own food, that'd be a good thing. Because if you're in this condition, you depend on buying food right through, you know who prepared it. They might put too much
Yeah.
salt, thing, this, that, the other. So when you're able to cook for yourself, all right, you could season everything according to what you need and what you feel should be done. And you have to control your diet because a lot of people does well overeat. It's a
Yeah.
Caribbean thing. You put a big plate of food in front of me, yeah, but I'm
Too
gonna
much
go down. So
vegetables.
what I did, yeah. So I reached this stage where I used to control. Well, I still am controlling my diet in terms of what I take in at one time. And I try not to eat too late in night, like this evening, about 7 o'clock. I had dinner. Back is still here. It's still here. Yeah, and that's it for the night. All right. Anything during the night is water, might be a crick or something to just to munch on.
Yeah.
Right. And that's it. But you gotta control that. That's the biggest thing.
So,
You must control
so
your
the
diet.
lifestyle change, the diet is one. What about exercise?
Well, that was always a thing with me anyhow. So I say, I ain't boasting, but I got something up in the morning, even self is just to walk on the block. I used to do it. But now I can't walk around as brisk as before and things. So what I did, I invested in a little stationary bike, the what you call it, the therapy
Yeah.
bike, anyhow. And that and some weights, a weight bench. Right. So if I know right in the comfort of your house or the area you're living in, go on the bike, you do a 10K, wherever, you come up, you do your weights, then you do your stretches, you know, right? And then uh uh what I call her again? She sells the select fit shape footwear and thing. She saw my whole story online and well I didn't she didn't donate. I buy it from her. She sold me a waist trainer to support my back. She sold me the copper fit um socks, what they call it, the
Yeah.
compression socks, the knee band, the everything. She got me a good thing. Right, because she imports, and I had all of that at the time to help me, keep myself fit. So every morning now, for between 6:30 to about 7:30, 8 o'clock, I just make sure I do an
Okay.
hour. Right, but now as I get a little better, I just give myself a rest on a
Okay.
weekend. Before was every day, Monday to Friday, right, every day, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, everything. But I was trying to give myself a rest on a weekend, so I'll say Monday to Friday, Saturday, go to church, do more house chores, wherever, there enough exercise. Sunday, well, cooking come like exercise,
Yes.
believe it or not. Okay, it's time after so much hours, just walking up and down, do this, do that, da, 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 da. Right. So you find like this evening now is more or less my rest time.
Yeah.
So just relax and roost and get ready for to start again tomorrow morning, everything again. Monday morning, bright and
So how
early.
do you manage stress?
And
How you manage
hmm,
stress now though, as part of the lifestyle change?
um, well, this going on the internet, yes. I don't want to bring anybody else into it. But I chose to be isolated for a while in terms of I'm not how I should say, I'm not shunning nobody or don't want nobody around or nothing like that. But I still choose to be by myself so that nobody could come around and give me stress. But hold on, okay, let me put it this way. I live alone right now with the whole idea that I don't want to be because that was my biggest problem too. your brother have a problem, your children have a problem, your mother have a problem, your wife have a problem, you gotta be listening to them, taking their stress. And so I choose to be alone for that. Because to be honest, I was supposed to be living downstairs, my mom right now, with my son, my mother upstairs, my brother upstairs, and wife, everybody downstairs. And I give that up. The only stress I have now is paying
Hmm.
rental. I don't like paying rent, but it was a give and take. Pay rent or go down and take stress and had to pay a hospital
Yeah.
bill. You understand? So,
Yeah.
so
You had
it's
to protect
parent.
the mental.
Yeah, yeah, I had to protect my mental. So I choose not to take on nobody else's stress but mine. And not that I
Yeah.
don't care or you don't want to be or whatever, but it's just that it make you selfish by force. I don't like myself for it, but I have to do it to safeguard
I don't know if
myself,
it's
right?
if it's being selfish or if it's self preservation.
Well, I will say self-preservation, but other people from the outside looking and go say
Yeah.
selfish, right? Because yes, I might still be helpful as much as I could be, as far as
Yeah.
I could be, right? But if I could tell a piece of my personal life is that I work at schools and in primary schools especially to bring them up to scratch IT wise, right? It are schools that do the whole PA system, do the whole internet for them. Some of them are I even put up cameras and thing, security wise, because especially with Catholic schools, the Catholic board they have enough funds to help them or whatever, whatever. And I said, well, right, as much as I could help, I wouldn't charge for labor or nothing. Once I get the material, I will do my best and put it up. And I still just do it, but not with the how to say the enthusiasm as before. It was like, all right, now it is more like check in, make sure they're good, everything all right, do what much as I could do, and come home. It wasn't like, all right, we're going to put in two routers. We must put in two routers to before I reach back home. Man. So it's not like that again. It's more do like what I could do, right? The best of my ability, and next day. Next day I'll do it. I'll do our next piece again tomorrow. So you manage yourself in terms of hey, you do what much as you could do, and that's it. If I take on a private job, well, I'll explain to people them the same thing, whoever I'm doing it for. And surprisingly, you know, moving slow, taking your time, doing whatever, people appreciate that more than if you are fast,
Yeah.
and you're gone. Yeah. No, that was my thing. Get in, do
Get
what I
out.
do, get out. Anything you need to ask me, call me on the phone after. We will do a follow up if you need to. But when you spend the time now, no, at present, and I take my time and I think and I explain to them as I go along and make them understand what is and what they appreciate that more. I got more jobs, especially with security cameras. I got more jobs that way than if I was just doing like, hey, yeah, pull up this thing fast, yeah, do that, right, call me after anything, right? And I realized to a point that that kind of therapy in itself that you realize that people that appreciate the personal
Yeah.
touch when it comes to certain things. But when it comes to service in general, right? You like the personal touch. So that gave me myself a feeling of fulfillment to know, well, hey, yeah, I did that and I have, well, I won't say friends, but people that are, like, hey, where you going? Easter coming up, boy, you coming on this side? That kind of, and not to say that I have them any special
Yeah.
friends or anything. You come on the side when they pass, you get piece. Well, I should share my deep
Yeah.
freeze right now. Well, 3 cup of ice cream, like I tell them I do eat ice cream, eh? 3 cup of ice cream, set a cake, but they give me still. I mean, I can't refuse it because they appreciate, how I deal with them. Man. Wait, slowing down, make you realize other things.
How do you stay
Yeah,
motivated though?
I think it's good. Let I think, nah, no, God, right? Get up in the morning, say your prayers, say thank you, Lord, for another day, right? Remember, we at a certain age now where that sickness or any kind of sickness does catch up to you. Okay, for this, I must say it again. Yeah, same uncle that I'm complaining about right now. When I was 16 or 17 years old, right, a well known runner in this country. I feel like I know Ian Morris. I can call him Imbo. I know boy still. Ian Morris literally tackled me from behind in football and went with my uncle.
Mhm.
Right? And his Daisy was a sister. Down Supaya, Song Senan Village. That repair my uncle and put back in place and then I could have walk and thing. But now that this thing happened, it's like the uncle was under
Yeah.
more stress and get aggravated to a point now that it's stiff, literally stiff. So the only thing I could hope for now is that people who are going by now could help me with that. But other than that, motivation is not hard. I think because I enter tech, it have a lot of things you could see and do and thing and as I tell you, I love to cook. So all that is part of the motivation. God, being appreciative of what you have, what you could do, being grateful, right? You just keep going. Right? Your people has reached a stage where you start to question your existence. I mean, I was there too. And I was there for a while. Right? I still love do to a point, but not as before. You question your existence. Oh, God, what these were here for? Were just to pass the time and get old and dead? That's it. You have no other purpose in life. Right? So, I don't know. We question our purpose as human beings all the time, especially as men. And because we like to believe that we leave some kind of legacy,
But
right? But
what advice would you give someone
uh,
struggling with this emotional impact of a stroke?
seek God first. I had hesitate to do that. Seek God first. Seek put your comfort in God, put your trust in God, because I I tell you, totally outside. And if I didn't say, oh, God, you give me the strength, something had happened, right? Let me tell you something. My change the talk a little bit. Normal as an officer working on thing. I was struggling for a while to even just come to work. I'm talking on a financial front here. Right? It's not because we didn't get anything and thing wasn't good in the country or the salary wasn't good. I was struggling because I was in debt with rent, in debt with buying things for the apartment, in debt with doing things for my mother, doing things for my brother, doing things for my son, doing things for myself and all too. So I was just in debt. And sometimes I leave, that time I was doing Faizabad. Right? I leave Faizabad $20 in my
Mhm.
pocket to come to make a duty, a one-to-one duty. Right? And I reach Europe and I like, I just, something happened and I say, hey, all right, no part $2. And I play a little player mark. And something I forget and all too. As when I finish work, my first shift, I'm a one-to-one. I can make it 1 to 6. And I might go out the road and say, well, let me see if I could get something to drink or something. And I will walk out the road and I check the ticket and see I win and reach back home. And I check myself with that kind of experience throughout my whole life. And I always realize, well, yes, you're fighting to keep your head above water, you're barely breathing, but you never drown. And every time you come close to drowning, something does happen. So what is that something? God, right? If you're a person that grounded enough and that I don't want to say that God see, but you are seeing yourself that there's something better, that he ain't gonna let you fall. Right? And the saying goes, when you saw you saw two footsteps all the time and then you
Yeah.
see one, and you tell yourself God abandon you, he didn't abandon you. He
Yeah.
carrying you. Literally. right? It had days I working and prisoner eating better than me. Prisoner eating. The best example is for the coup. And prisoners are still eating turkey and peas and whatever. We was eating cakes and drinking Kool-Aid in Idamochi. The whole shift. Because we couldn't go
Yeah.
outside to do nothing. A coup, big coup outside, you can't go outside because you're hearing gunshots. Hmm? So, right, so that is a testimony of God working in your life to keep you alive. Because if you were supposed to die, actually, I want the song that way, but if you were supposed to die with this stroke or whatever you have, illness you have, you'll be done already. You will not be around now to even talk, say anything now. So seek God first. Seek God
As I
first.
said,
Anything else can happen.
once you're still alive, once you ain't dead, good and done.
Mm.
And
Come on,
yeah,
you ain't
you
done
ain't
it
done yet. So
yet.
sometimes
You always hear that.
we struggling because I remember I lying down on the hospital bed and I say to
Mm-hmm.
myself, Spring boy,
Mm-hmm.
this it boy? This how we go and do this
Yeah.
how we go and go down. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And you really have to motivate yourself one and take solace
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
you ain't dead boy. So God
Mm-hmm.
can't be done to you.
Nope.
And
You ain't
it's
done
not
it
to
yet.
say that he make a mistake and he ball oops. Because you don't make mistakes,
Nah.
you understand what I'm saying? So it had to be
Nah.
for something.
Nah.
And and again,
Nah.
as I say, sometimes you gotta keep
Yeah.
motivating yourself. And sometimes even now, as I got my stroke
Mm-hmm.
in October 2021, even now
Mm-hmm.
I might get up one morning and realize, okay, I had to put on some worship music. Then I had to put on some motivational speaking to kind of encourage myself
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
talking to now your loved ones are there. They could
Mm-hmm.
give you as much support as they can, and they could
Mm-hmm.
sympathize with you, but they can't empathize because you could be
Yeah.
telling them what you're going through, and they could feel a sense of
Right.
concern for you, but they don't know what it
Yeah.
is. You know?
Um. To be honest with you, I'm not falling out to that doctor for that. He know one thing and don't worry, that's how it does be here. Okay, I had a problem with my shoulder and I was feeling like my shoulder was out of
Yeah.
place. Yeah. I why? I feel like your bones want to burst out of your
Yes.
finger. And that was sit down telling the chiropractor. He just watched me say nah, something wrong. And think 2 little seconds take a clicks, shoulder back in place. And as I tell you, feel the blood flow and everything. I said, what the hell? So sometimes that I don't say, yeah, boy, hey, yeah, one that never cease. Thing that you take for granted, eh? Thing that I had big plans for when I retire. I was supposed to open my chicken farm, all kind of thing. I was nothing. I was going to do nothing close to being a
Yeah.
techie out of jail. I was just going to start a little farm, open a little farm and things, start to move around and do sales and thing. That was my whole plan. I wasn't planning to be, going back into tech and all kind of thing and doing anything like what I do now. You know, well, camera and installation. I know how to do it, but I was just needed a break from it, and I said that was the perfect break, and it never happened, and it wasn't supposed to happen.
A-
Right?
As they say, man make the plans, but God make the decision. So,
Nah, nah, exactly. Right? But as I say, the first thing is you have to learn, right, is to trust in God as much as it could become. It'll be hard. I mean, even for me, right? And to learn to laugh at yourself. I will say that to
yeah.
anybody. Learn to laugh at yourself first, right? And don't let nobody get to you in the sense that they tell you something and go take you off and make a. There's a problem all we have as officers. We'll get tick
Yeah.
off easy. Man, go start talk some kind of out of time and talk and
Right. Yeah,
you
you're
trip off
ready
for that.
to activate.
Right? Yeah. So you gotta learn to
Yeah.
over that. right? Laugh at yourself first before anybody else start.
I
Right?
think that's a good
Right?
place to end our podcast this afternoon. And
No
it's
problem.
simply
Mm-hmm.
laugh at yourself. Don't take it so serious. It's not that serious way. I mean, yes, you've been through a near death experience, and it changed your perspective on
Yeah.
life, because the things I
Yeah.
was
Sometimes it's
yes,
better. Eh?
because
Sometimes
sometimes the
it's
things I
better.
used to take for
For
granted,
granted.
you realize how precious it
Yeah.
is. And sometimes the things you take
Yeah.
serious, you realize, hey, that ain't all that,
I can't
all
all that
that
serious.
serious because you lying down in a bed and sometimes in a pampers, you realize, oh, this ain't all
Yeah.
that serious way.
No, my mom told you while you're good and normal, 99
Yeah,
problems. Follow the ambulance. And when you're sick,
yeah,
you have one problem. The 99 problems are
no,
there again.
forget about
So you gotta realize what, hey, yeah, boy, and keep yourself in that one
it. Yeah.
problem mode. Right? You still have 99 problems, but one at a time. Don't take on all
And
one time.
I think one
One
of
at
the
a time.
things I would tell, because it's a hemorrhagic stroke that I had. What you had
Mm.
was a
Hypertension.
hemorrhagic, yeah. Seems, yeah. So
Yeah, hypertension.
one of the things
Mm.
I will tell people who need some encouragement is stay away
Mm.
from stress. And stressful
Yeah.
situations,
Some,
sometimes people will do things to stress you out. But you have to remember the
right.
date that you had a stroke and realize that you're not going back
Mm-hmm.
to that date. And then
At all.
next time you need to go back
And
to that date.
well, what me what the 13th, so you know what going on there already. The little
Yeah,
phobia with the
I
13th.
understand that. But it's also a time
So,
to be grateful on the May the 13th because it come like a rebirth, really.
yeah,
Because you
yeah,
start
yeah,
to learn how
yeah,
to walk
yeah.
again.
Yeah.
From
From baby to
so
steps to big
it come
to
like
walk. Yeah,
starting
yeah,
over.
yeah, yeah.
Completely
Yeah, yeah,
starting
yeah.
over. But
Yeah.
like God is still good. Amidst it all,
Yeah, real good.
God is
Real good.
still good.
I have to real good.
So
Because
go
yeah, that things that as I say, you take for granted. And I'll echo what you say. You see, stress for me, I did the extreme and isolate myself from everything and everybody. When they want to call me and talk the stressful talk, I say, hey, I ain't ready for
ahead.
that today. Right? And sometimes it end up with me having to be a little brash and hang out with the phone or something. Because I just tell them point blank, one thing good to tell you, when you don't call me, I don't see you, I don't hear nothing from all that. All I call me for now. We're not in stress. When I was in stress, we all it was. And I talk about relatives. I ain't talking about no
Yeah,
stranger relatives. Right? So I used stage where I had to lock off everybody. I ain't saying everybody have to do that. But I lock off everybody and focus
yeah.
on
Protect your
yourself.
mental. Yeah,
Protect your
yeah,
mental.
important.
All right? Because you see what happened to Ashby? You remember Ashby?
No.
The cricketer? He had a stroke. Get out of the job. Retire from the job. And then was home still with 3 children or something, wife. And they stressing him out. And he had another stroke. And we had to
Wow.
bury him. hmm And if you remember him, Peter Ashby, if you ever get chance, you
Yeah,
can look up and see. Real nice fella. Real nice fella. Nobody within the prison service could bad talk that fella and say he this, he that, and the other. Right? And stress.
Hmm.
Right? Gaston.
Yeah,
Sadik. Yes, he didn't get a stroke, but
yeah.
stress. Right? So,
Wow.
yeah, mm-hmm. Praise and thanks to God.
Yes.
Eh? Mm-hmm.
Richard Caesar,
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for sharing your
Anytime.
story and for helping somebody else
Anytime.
get that help.
Anytime. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's what
brother.
we're here for.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. Give time.
So we were listening to the story from Richard Caesar, and I hope it encouraged somebody somewhere out there. that you're not alone, it's not over. And if God is with you, who can be against you? Thank you so much.
The information provided in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. While we strive to present accurate and up-to-date information, this podcast should not be used as a substitute for professional medical guidance, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider before making any medical decisions, or if you have concerns about stroke symptoms, prevention, or recovery. The views expressed by guests and hosts are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of any medical institution or organization. If you or someone you know is experiencing signs of a stroke, call emergency services immediately.